What's up guys, VitalSyntax here, and Payday 2 was released today, August 13th, on the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the PC platforms. This is going to be my full in-depth review that's going to go over all the information that I think you should know about this game. So it was developed by Overkill Software and published by 505 Games, and it runs on their proprietary Diesel 2.0 game engine, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. So this mixes a couple interesting genres, the first-person shooter aspect mixed with role-playing elements of leveling up your character, unlocking new skills and attachments for your weapons, into a 4-player cooperative package that allows you and your friends or random people that you matchmake with on the internet to experience bank heists in a simulator type of environment, which is very unique, and it's nice to see a game that brings new gameplay to the table. Now, you can play this game in a single-player environment with AI on your team to replace those teammates, but I wouldn't recommend it because the AI in this game is fairly bad, and it's going to be more frustrating than helpful to have them on your team. So I'd strongly recommend either playing with friends or using the matchmaking system to find new people to play with. It's always great to have a microphone for communication. Now, as for this new Diesel 2.0 engine, let's talk about some of the graphics, the sound effects, and the overall presentation of the game. So overall, I think that the graphics are fairly well done. There are some issues with low-end textures in some areas. They're going for a more cartoony look than the nitty-gritty, high contrast, detailed, realistic graphics that you might see in something like Battlefield or Crysis or something along those lines. And just overall, the graphics and the visual effects and fidelity is fairly mediocre, but it's above par. And I think that they chose a great engine, and it performs great. You're gonna have really good frame rates. It stays above 120 frames per second at all times on my system, and even on medium and lower end systems it performs really awesome. And I've heard on the consoles as well it has a decent frame rate and good controller responsiveness and stuff along those lines. As far as like animations go, they did a really good job with reload animations. Some of the gun handling aspects very well polished and just really well done. And as far as sound effects go, the guns feel really powerful. There's a lot of boom to them, and you really feel like you're doing damage to enemy players, and when you take damage yourself, there's a lot of audio cues that help you out in that area, as well as the environment around you. It's just very immersive. And also, I should mention the soundtrack. It is freaking awesome. Check it out. So the story of Payday 2 is basically non-existent. Yeah, there are some backstories to some of the characters like Dallas, Huxton, Wolf, and Change, which are the 4 characters that you get to choose when you're doing these bank heists. And there's also some other reoccurring characters that will give you different missions and things along those lines. But for the most part, this game does not focus on the storyline at all. And in fact, I'd say it's the thing that this game focuses on, one of the least things. And if you want to check out, kind of behind the scenes or more information about some of those characters and what the world of PayDay is all about, then I'd suggest checking out the PayDay web series that they did recently. And I'll put a link in the description where you can watch that if you're interested in a little bit more backstory about the game. So the game doesn't really have much of a story to it, but it does have a ton of gameplay. So let's talk about some of the game modes and missions that you're going to get in the full game. You can do bank robberies. There's a couple different options. You can either rob for cash, gold, or just safety deposit boxes. There's also a jewelry store robbery, convenience stores that you can rob, an art gallery. You can even break into the FBI headquarters and steal FBI servers. You can deal cocaine. You can cook meth. There's a bunch of options for the different game modes and missions that you'll have in the full game. On top of that, each mission has 4 different difficulties. You have normal, hard, very hard, and overkill. And depending on which difficulty level you choose, you're going to be rewarded more with experience points and more with money. But the problem is that you're also going to be at higher risk. And if you fail the mission, you have to start all the way from the beginning of that mission or from the day that you're currently on the mission. Some of the missions are multi-day missions, meaning that you'll have to complete one mission that's kind of like a checkpoint, then you'll finish the next mission, which would be another checkpoint. Some of them are like 2 or 3 days long. Now you have to replay these missions quite often because there's not a huge number of them. I think there's less than 10, and I would have liked to see something like 15 or 20 missions. I think that's one of the biggest downsides or biggest flaws of this game, is that there's really not enough missions and enough maps and game modes to play with, because that's really where this game has its strengths, is exploring new environments, getting used to all the different aspects and random factors that come into play, because not only are you able to play different maps with different difficulties, but every time you play a new map, it's going to have random factors built into it. For example, the number of security guards, the locations of the security cameras, where the key card's going to be so you can get into the security office and turn off the security cameras, or different objectives and their location. There's so much more that's just randomly generated every time you play a mission that's going to give you a little bit more replayability and replay value to a lot of the missions that you're going to be playing over and over and over as you grind to get more experience and more cash to upgrade your character. So when you start a mission, the essential structure goes like this. You can either choose to do a stealth option or just running guns blazing. Most people are going to at least start by attempting a stealth operation. And some of the missions, like the bank robbery or the jewelry store, you can complete without setting off any alarms and without the backup, the police and stuff being called, and then you don't have to actually fight off waves of enemies. You just have to control the civilians that are around you, and then you can usually just get out there and take all the cash or take whatever goods that you're here to get and get out and run, get your reward, and you're ready to go. But most of the times, something's going to go wrong. Somebody's going to call the cops, the alarm's going to be set off, and in that case, you're going to have to get ready to start fighting off waves of enemies. And in order to do that, you're not going to be able to just use your weapons. You also need to take advantage of equipment, which you're going to unlock by spending skill points and specializing in different classes, which I'll get to next. So once you get some equipment, you're going to set down things like cell phone jammers. That's going to prevent people from calling the cops. You can set up drills to drill into safety deposit boxes or drill into vaults or safes. You can get silencers to stay off the radar, go undetected. You can use zip ties to tie the hands of the civilians around you. That way you don't have to monitor them quite as closely. You can get ammo drops that are going to give you and your teammates more ammo, as well as health drops that are going to heal your teammates over time. So there's a lot of equipment that's going to allow you to survive a little bit longer. And essentially, after you survived, you have to get the goods that you came for, whether that's cash, gold, anything else that you had, in your objectives, and you have to get out of there. And that usually has to get to a getaway car, a getaway helicopter. And then once you get away, if you do it successfully, you're going to get rewards, which come in the form of experience points, which are going to allow you to level up your character. And when you do, you're going to get skills that you can spend in the skill trees, which I'll talk about in just a second. On top of that, you're also going to get cash you'll spend on different weapons, attachments, and upgrades for your character as well. So the classes have basically 4 different options. There's the Mastermind, the Enforcer, the Technician, and the Ghost. So Mastermind focuses on just the team in general. You can drop doctor bags that allow your teammates to heal their health. You can use extra zip ties to kind of control the different civilians around you. And you also have better intimidation over the different civilians around you, allowing you to control them a little bit more easily. If you're trying to do, for example, in a stealth situation, hold hostages and things like that. And you can also convert enemies into your allies, which is really, really useful. And there's also a couple skills that you can get that allow you to be a little more efficient with pistols. So pistols are a great option for this class. Now, next you have the Enforcer, which focuses on dishing out ammo. as well as kind of acting as a tank. So you can drop ammo bags that people can regenerate their ammo from, and you can also increase the character's health, his armor, and unlock a saw that allows you to drill in things like safety deposit boxes and ATM machines. And this character mostly focuses on shotguns because, once again, he has a couple skills that allow him to increase his efficiency with those specific weapons. Next is the Technician. He has a couple different items that he can unlock to essentially allow you to progress through different missions a little bit more quickly, like C4 that allow you to open up safes very quickly or blow off the hinges of a door. You can set up trip mines that are going to take out waves of enemies, large groups of enemies in a confined area. And you can also set up sentry guns that will shoot enemies for you without having to really do anything other than set it down in a good location. And lastly, we have Ghost, which is focused mostly on stealth. Now, he can also set down a jammer, which is really useful for preventing people around you from calling the cops on their cell phone. It's also used for breaking into security doors. And you can also lockpick fast. There's a couple of skills that allow you to increase that, as well as the efficiency to increase your skills with submachine guns, which are going to be used as secondary weapons. As for weapons themselves, there's a lot of different options. So you have a primary weapon as well as a secondary weapon. For your primary, you're going to be able to choose between assault rifles, shotguns, and different long-range rifles. And for your secondaries, there's pistols, there's shotguns, and there's submachine guns. Now, you can customize any weapon that you get by adding attachments, by adding new stocks, barrels, scopes. There is a lot of different options for customizing your weapons. Now, the way you get different attachments for your weapon is essentially at the end of every mission, you're going to flip over a card. You have to choose between 3. And it's kind of a random chance that you'll get a new mask, you'll get a new attachment, you might just get some cash right away. And those masks that you unlock will give you different shapes, different textures, and different colors that allow you to combine for essentially a limitless number of variety for customizing your masks and having kind of a unique identity, which is a really cool concept. So my final thoughts for PayDay 2 are, it's a unique game that brings a lot of new gameplay elements to first-person shooter fans that is really nice and refreshing to see. It also has a nice focus on teamwork and communication, and once again, best played with some buddies of yours in a 4-player co-op situation. And just overall, it's extremely fun. And it has that in-depth progression and item progression that you can get by leveling up your character that's going to allow you to play for hours on end. It has a really nice and slick and straightforward user interface that's fairly polished. And for the PC gamers out there, there's a lot of graphics settings, a fully adjustable FOV slider, although I wish they would give you the exact number of your field of view. It's just kind of a slide and just kind of guess. And just the economy in general. You have this whole economy system where you're doing heists, getting money that's adding up to just your overall amount of spending money, as well as an offshore account that you can use for other things along the lines in the game. But you can use that spending money to buy new items, and then you'll be low on cash. You spend it all, you got to go play some more, and that addicting kind of progression feel is what brings me back. It keeps me coming back for more and more and more. And I think, maybe after I unlock all the items, and after I've gotten to the highest level, and after I've locked all the weapons and all the things that I'm kind of interested in, there may be less incentive for me to play. But at that point, I've probably put in 30, 40 hours into this game, and that's definitely worth $30. So I'd recommend this game quite strongly for people that are looking for a first-person shooter that's focused on co-op, because it's definitely one of the best that I've played. And so my overall rating for PayDay 2 is an 8 out of 10. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to leave a like or a favorite. And if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. I do videos like this almost every day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.